This Part 2 Episode 128. The moment Xiao Yan stood up, the dragon eyes of the 3,000 burning flame, within the purple-black sea of fire, immediately showed a panic expression flashing through them. An uneasiness suddenly covered its heart. Xiao Yan waved his hand amid the anxious eyes of the 3,000 burning flame. The surrounding fire barrier slowly shrank, before transforming into a faint, green fire glow that covered his body. After which, he stepped forward. A fire wave was formed where his feet landed, as he slowly walked toward the 3,000 burning flame. Roar! A furious roar was finally emitted from the 3,000 burning flame, after seeing that Xiao Yan had finally moved. It widened its enormous dragon mouth, and a large fire pillar shot out like a volcano. However, the strength of this current fire pillar was clearly inferior to what it was before. Xiao Yan smiled in the face the 3,000 burning flames attack. He gently waved a sleeve and a jade-green fire pillar shot out from it. After which, it collided with the other fire pillar. The purple-black fire pillar lasted for an instant during the intense collision before collapsing. The remaining green fire pillar smashed into the 3,000 burning flames' body. The flame that was blasted apart caused a miserable cry to be emitted. The current U is too weak. Xiao Yan gently clenched his hand. He sensed the great strength that was present when he raised his hand, and a joy involuntarily surged into his heart. This beast had acted mighty during this period of time. It had repeatedly mocked him, tried to force him to reveal himself, and told him to meet it in battle. Now, it was time for the situation to be reversed. Lowly human, do not act so arrogantly. The 3,000 burning flame was so furious that even its eyes had turned a complete red. A furious roar exploded over this space like thunder. Immediately, the purple-black flames erupted, transforming into a countless number of small fire dragons that roared as they violently charged at Xiao Yan. Rumble! The fire dragons exploded against Xiao Yan's body. Terrifying hot air waves continued to spread. A sea of fire covered the area where Xiao Yan had stood earlier. The originally weary 3,000 burning flame began to pant after unleashing such a large attack. Its dragon's eyes looked at the sea of fire in the air. Before it could sigh in relief, it was shocked to see a figure slowly walking out of the sea of fire. That figure appeared like a descending fire god under the backdrop of the surrounding flame. Xiao Yan's face was slowly lifted into a smile as he stood in the sea of fire. He raised his hand gently and the dragon's seal on his palm shook. It erupted with a shocking golden light. The golden light was just like a sun had risen within the spiritual space. The surrounding purple-black sea of fire appeared to have suffered a powerful suction force that could not be blocked under the shine of this golden light. It suddenly surged into the dragon's seal. Within a couple of blinks, this sea of fire had completely disappeared within the seal. At the same time, a purple-black flame gradually seeped out of Xiao Yan's arm. The sea of fire scattered. Only the 3,000 burning flame and Xiao Yan were facing off within this spiritual space. However, a terrified expression had surged into the eyes of the 3,000 burning flame. Its enormous body continued to pull back. You have lost. Xiao Yan slightly smiled as he studied the 3,000 burning flame, which had revealed a terrified expression as it continued to pull back. Xiao Yan's smile grew. A golden light surged on his palm. Within a couple of whistles, the light caught up with the 3,000 burning flame, and the light started to pull it back toward the dragon's seal as it roared and struggled. The enormous body of the 3,000 burning flame swiftly shrunk as it came closer to the dragon's seal. In the end, it transformed into a purple-black fire glow that was absorbed by the golden light being emitted from the dragon's seal on Xiao Yan's palm. Xiao Yan finally sighed in relief as he looked at the 3,000 burning flame that had disappeared into his hand. It would not have withdrawn in this competition of will. It would not show signs of withdrawing regardless of how disproportionate their strengths were. Break! Xiao Yan raised his head, looked at this circular spiritual space, and faintly commanded. The surrounding space immediately began to fluctuate after his voice sounded. Immediately, a cracking sound appeared. The space transformed into countless numbers of spatial fragments as it burst apart. The moment the spiritual realm was blasted apart, Xiao Yang, who had been seated within the purple-black flame-filled star region, slowly opened his eyes. A jade-green and purple-black flame flashed across his dark black eyes as they were opened, causing him to appear exceptionally strange. Xiao Yang, who had opened his eyes, immediately looked at the small purple-black fire dragon. At this moment, the eyes of the dragon had already lost their luster, causing it to appear a little sluggish. Xiao Yang softly sighed when he saw its eyes. This kind of battle was such that one party would have to die for the other to survive. There was no third option. He was able to let out a harsh sigh now. However, if the 3,000 burning flame had obtained victory, it would likely proudly incinerate his body into ashes. No other emotions would have been present. A life and death battle was cruel. So-called good and evil did not exist in such a battle. Xiao Yang stood up and slowly walked to the small fire dragon. He placed his hand on its forehead and a suction force surged. The dragon transformed into extremely deep purple-black flames that slowly flew up. Xiao Yang softly sighed as he looked at this cluster of purple-black flames. This was the essence flame of the 3,000 burning flame that he had dreamed of. He had traveled a great distance from the Black Corner region to the Central Plains for it, undergoing many hardships in the process. At this moment, he had finally achieved his desire. Relax, follow me. I will not humiliate your reputation on the heavenly flame ranking. Xiao Yang softly muttered to himself. After which, he widened his mouth and swallowed the cluster of purple-black flames into his stomach. The essence flame had just entered his body when a wave of searing heat quietly spread out from within. Xiao Yang swiftly crossed his legs and sat down. A jade-green flames and purple-black flames spluttered out from all of his pores. Xiao Yang had successfully obtained the essence flame of the 3,000 burning flame. Currently, he needed to completely refine it and subsequently merge it with the glazed lotus heart flame. He would then need to activate the flame mantra and evolve it once again. Although Xiao Yang had obtained control of the 3,000 burning flame due to the existence of the dragon seal, this flame was quite high on the heavenly flame ranking. It had been formed after a countless number of years, causing it to possess a pride that could not be eroded easily. Quite some time would be needed in order to refine it. Back then, Xiao Yang had spent 2 years underground in order to refine the fallen heart flame. It might not take so long this time around, but it would likely not be something that could be settled within 1 to 2 days. The jade-green flame cover around Xiao Yang had slowly paled the moment he had sat down and shut his eyes. Finally, it disappeared. The purple-black sea of fire that permeated the star region immediately surged over after the fire barrier disappeared. However, just when the flames were about to reach a 10-foot radius from Xiao Yang, they began to hurriedly split apart. After which, they obediently lingered around him, as though the flames were worshipping him. Xiao Yang might have dodged the sea of fire, but the sky demon puppet, by his side gradually emitted a faint golden light due to it having lost the protection of the barrier. Although it was still within a 10-foot radius of Xiao Yang, the temperature of the star region was so high that it was frightening. The place appeared just like a furnace. Xiao Yang was immune to the heat, but it was not. Golden-colored liquid continued to drip down its body. With this golden liquid rolling down, the bright golden color on its body slowly changed to a dim golden color. At a glance, it was even deeper and more mysterious. From the looks of it, the majestic lightning strength the sky demon puppet had absorbed before was being refined naturally by the star region furnace. Although Xiao Yang clearly understood that refining the 3,000 burning flame would require a long time, he did not expect half a year to pass after he shut his eyes. During this half a year, the star region continued to remain quiet as a region of the dead, but the area outside of the star region was incredibly noisy. The third day after the star region had been shut, the little fairy doctor had insisted on asking the 3 great heads to open the star region to rescue Xiao Yang. The 3 great heads were unable to stop her, and with Xianyu mediating, the star region was opened on the 3rd day. However, a terrifying sea of fire surged out, like a prehistoric beast the moment the door opened. Had the 3 great heads not been prepared, it would likely have caused a great disaster. With this situation having occurred, the little fairy doctor was unable to request the three great heads to open the door again despite feeling extremely anxious in her heart. Fortunately, Xiao still had her ability to sense him. Otherwise, she would likely have difficulty enduring the torment during this period of time. Around 1 month after the door had been opened the first time, the three great heads once again took the initiative to open the star region. This time around, Xian Kongzi had entered by himself. However, he ended up fleeing miserably after having been inside for less than 5 minutes. Due to the star region being shut, the temperature was unbelievably high. Even with his strength, he was merely able to travel 1,000 meters before being unable to endure any longer. All he could do was flee. Everyone's hearts gradually sank when they saw Xian Kongzi's miserable state. Even with his strength, he was unable to last long within the star region. There was no need to even talk about Xiao Yan. However, while everyone was expecting the worst, the little fairy doctors group were desperately grasping the final straw. This straw was the dragon seal on Xiao's hand. Currently, their only hope was the existence of this dragon seal. If that dragon seal were to suddenly disappear one day, it was likely that the little fairy doctor would collapse. With the flow of time, an increasing number of people began to cease holding any hope that Xiao Yan was alive. Even Xian Kongzi and the others could only quietly sigh. Who would have expected the champion of this pill gathering to end up with such a fate? While a countless number of people were letting out hushed sighs, the interior of the death-like star region emitted a slight fluctuation for the first time. The terrifying temperature within the star region, created by the purple-black flames, continued to rise. It was mind-bogglingly hot. Even space itself had become exceptionally distorted at this moment. If a layer of seals had not existed to keep it isolated, it was likely that these flames would have erupted like a volcano with pressure building up underground, bringing a calamity to Holy Pill City. There was an empty area within the middle of this dead region permeated by purple-black flames. Not the slightest flame flowed within this area. All the sweeping flames would automatically flow away when they swam close to this area. A skinny figure sat cross-legged in the empty region. An extremely deep purple-brown flame rose from his body. This kind of flame lingered over him. Each time the flame churned, it would cause the endless, purple-black fire sea to fluctuate. That young man did not sense the change in the surrounding flames. It had been nearly 8 months since he had shut his eyes back then. His body had not moved even an inch during these 8 months. Even his breathing had become soft and inaudible. If a trace of life did not still fill his body, it was likely that everyone would have thought that he was merely a lifeless corpse. Threads of a purple-brown fire seedlings suddenly seeped out of the pores his body while he sat quietly like an old monk. After which, they turned into tiny vines that lingered over his body, using a strange refinement method to hone his skin, muscles, and bones. Under the refinement of this purple-brown flame, Xiao Yan's white skin gradually gained the hints of an ancient bronze color, causing his body to appear filled with strength. Following this quiet condition of his, it seemed as though the entire star region's breathing had merged together. Each time his breath became heavier, the sea of fire that spread throughout the star region would be lifted into waves of fire. By the time his breathing calmed, the fire wave calmed down and the star region once again recovered its silence. Time quietly flowed by like the sand between one's fingers amid this breathing. It stretched on until a certain day. The star region continued to remain deathly quiet like in the past. There was not even the slightest life force present in this hellish fire. A rushing sound would occasionally be emitted when a flame swept over. However, that kind of sound carried the aura of death, causing this place to appear even more desolate. An unusual movement was suddenly emitted from the calm sea of fire. When one followed the direction of this unusual movement and looked over, one would discover that it originated from that flame-free area within the sea of fire. At this moment, threads of purple-brown flames continuously surged out of Xiao Yan's meditating old monk body. These flames twined and moved. Finally, they vaguely formed a purple-brown fire dragon that was a couple 100 feet long. If one managed to see it clearly, one would discover that this purple-brown fire dragon was the actual body of the 3,000 burning flame in the past. However, this kind of purple-brown flame appeared to be even deeper and more mysterious compared to the pure 3,000 burning flame. Roar! The purple-brown flame lingered in the air. An enormous fire body covered Xiao Yang. Finally, it lifted its enormous head and widened its huge mouth. An earth-shaking roar suddenly resounded within this dead quiet star region. Bang! Following the appearance of this roar, the originally calm purple-black flames immediately became wildly violent. Moreover, they appeared to have suffered a strange suction force, as they agglomerated into numerous purple-black fire pillars that continuously surged toward the large mouth of the fire dragon lingering in the sky. With an increasing amount of purple-black flame being swallowed by the large, purple-black fire dragon, the purple-brown color on its body deepened. Its dragon scales also became lifelike, causing it to appear alive. Roar! The purple-black flames within the star region were too vast. Even though the enormous dragon swallowed with all its might, it was unable to significantly reduce the size of the sea of fire. These flames were formed from the absorption of the star strength by the 3,000 burning flame over an innumerable number of years. The current Xiao Yang had difficulty absorbing them all. The enormous dragon swallowed a decent amount of purple-black flame. Only then did it feel satisfied. Its enormous body gradually shrank, before transforming into a wisp of purple-brown fire that seeped into the top of Xiao Yang's head. A pair of eyes, that had been tightly shut for half a year, finally trembled when the enormous dragon entered Xiao Yang's body. They were subsequently slowly opened. Both of Xiao Yang's eyes were opened. A purple-brown flame immediately burned within his dark black eyes. 2 fire glows shot out of his eyes. They appeared like 2 lasers, as they forcefully created 200-foot large flame-free areas. The sea of flames churned as the fire glow rushed past. Only then was it withdrawn. An unusually hot breath slowly followed Xiao Yang's throat as it was spat out. Following the exhaling of this breath, the ancient bronze color on Xiao Yang's body was slowly withdrawn. Is it finally about to succeed? Xiao Yang slowly lowered his head. He clenched his hand and a cluster of purple-brown flames emitted a puff sound and appeared. This was his new heavenly flame. It was a new heavenly flame merged from the 3,000 burning flame, the green lotus core flame, and fallen heart flame. Xiao Yang didn't know just how terrifying the heavenly flames ranked at the top of the heavenly flame ranking, but from his guess, this newly formed heavenly flame should have the qualification to rank among the top 6. Since it is formed from the merger of 3 types of heavenly flames, it shall be called 3,000 Lotus Heart Flame. Xiao Yang smiled as he looked at the cluster of purple-brown flames in his hands. He softly said. Xiao Yang clenched his hands and absorbed this cluster of purple-brown flames back into his body. His hands were suddenly extended. His head was lifted and a clear cry resounded within this silent star region like that of a crane. The cry was a long one and the bones all over Xiao Yang's body suddenly exploded at this moment. At the same time, his aura was climbing at a shocking speed. Following the sudden increase of Xiao Yang's aura, the purple-black sea of fire became unusually wild and violent. The flame was just like a tidal wave within the ocean as it widely whizzed. A couple of 1,000-foot-wide flame tornadoes formed around Xiao Yang. Numerous fire dragons lingered and roared outside of the storms. Dozong 4-star, 5-star, 6-star, 7-star. Xiao Yang's aura soared to the point of causing one to be stunned. If someone had been present, that person would have been stunned by this terrifying rate of increase. A target that other people required a few years, or even a few decades in order to reach had been swiftly overcome within these short 2 to 3 minutes. Regardless of how good one's control was, it was likely that one would collapse on the spot. This kind of speed was beyond that of an aeroplane. Even taking a rocket would not be this frighteningly fast. The wildly soaring aura surpassed that of the 7th star. After which, it once again abruptly soared. Finally, it broke through the difficult 9-star barrier before slowly halting. It eventually stabilized at that level. The roar finally weakened amid this soul-stirring aura. The surrounding firestorms also came to a halt. Xiao Yang's hand were gently lowered. He sensed the unprecedented vast, mighty dou qi that flowed within his veins. A slight moan was involuntarily emitted from his mouth. This kind of advancement was really too awesome. Flame mantra was indeed a top-level, mysterious qi method. Xiao Yang gently clenched his fist. This feeling of surging strength caused Xiao Yang to feel the impulse of shattering this space. At this moment, Xiao Yang was confident that if he were to meet old Mujiu again, he would definitely not flee like the last time. 9-star Do Zone. Xiao Yang sensed the dou qi within his body. The smile on the corner of his mouth widened. When he had swallowed the fallen heart flame back then, it had caused him to leap from a dou ling to the peak of the dou wang class. He had leaped an entire class. This time around, the leap might not appear as wild and violent as last time, but Xiao Yang understood that the energy needed within the dou zone class was far from what the energy needed to leap from the dou ling to the dou wang class could compare with. The amount of time a person needed to successfully advance from the dou ling class to that of the dou wang class might not even be able to compare with the time a dou zone needed to raise his strength by 1 star. This was a comparison between two different classes. How could they be compared? If Xiao Yang had swallowed the fallen heart flame from back then after reaching the 4-star dou zone class, it would likely only raise his strength by 3 stars or so. Fortunately, the 3000 burning flame was not only ranked higher than the fallen heart flame, but the energy that it had gathered was far from what the fallen heart flame could compare with. Xiao Yang smiled, feeling extremely satisfied with his current condition. His eyes suddenly slid to the sky demon puppet by his side, and he immediately became startled. At this moment, it was a dark golden color. At a glance, it gave one the strange feeling of being almighty. Is this because of the high temperature refinement? Xiao Yang was startled before coming to an understanding. The temperature within the star region was frighteningly high. If he had not successfully swallowed the 3000 burning flame, it was likely that his fate would not have been any better. The fighting strength of the current sky demon puppet should have significantly raised. I wonder if it is able to defeat old Mujiu alone. Xiao Yang studied the sky demon puppet with great interest. After which, he waved his hand and returned it to his storage ring. His eyes scanned the purple-black sea of flames that had spread over this star region. These had been all formed from the energy absorbed by the 3000 burning flame over a countless number of years. It would really be too much of a waste to simply leave them here. In that case, allow me to make the best use of it. Xiao Yang smiled. His palm faced the sea of flames before it was suddenly clenched. This video will end here.